Most game devs waste their energy on distractions in the morning. I started working on my games first thing in the morning and it doubled my outputs. By the end of this video, you know my exact morning routine that makes me finish more work in a week than most do in a month. Work immediately. Now, the best type of advice I can give you is to work in the mornings. And when I say work in the mornings, I'm not saying go brush your teeth, go take a shower, go have breakfast, go work out and then go to work. But what you should do instead, you should wake up at the time where you are undistracted. And you should wake up, go to the toilet, and you should start working immediately. And you shouldn't even do any small things like brushing your teeth or whatever other small things that you do before you start working. You shouldn't do them before you start working, because there are so many small things that just distract you and they take both time and energy from you and just delays your work. And when you've just woken up, you have so much energy and your cortisol is naturally high. So you are both awake and you have so much energy. Like, even if you haven't worked in the mornings before, or you worked in the mornings on your day job or in class, then you probably know that you are much more focused and alert. And in general, you can just do more things in the mornings. Like, there are a reason why math is the first class of the day in a lot of schools. That's because you focus more in the mornings. Now imagine if you've done math, which is for most students one of the hardest subjects, in the evenings always. Like, you've had language, you've had science, art and crafts, everything, and you just want to go home. But now you're going to do math. That's why the administrations always have math as early in the day as possible, because that's when you have the most energy and you can focus the most. The less things that you do before you start working, the better the work session you will have. But most of us are just humans and we need to go to the toilet and maybe get some water and bring a coffee, and those things are fine, but try to keep it as minimal as possible. Just delay them for later in the day or do them in the evenings the day before. So your morning routine ideally would be just wake up and start working. Then you can do your old normal morning routine after that. So take a shower, everything. Do that after you're done with working on game dev. And when you are sitting down to work, it's awesome that you work on game dev. You shouldn't just work on whatever you feel like. You should do the most important task. And the most important task is usually the hardest tasks you can do. So as we talked about before, your brain works the best in the mornings. And that's why you should do the most important tasks in the mornings when you have the most energy. Like, it seems very obvious. And you might have heard of the analogy called eat a frog. And if you haven't, I can explain it to you quickly. Basically, if you had to eat a frog, but you were going to have dinner after, then would you eat the frog before or after dinner? And most people would say after, because they want to delay the pain. But that's actually the wrong answer. Because if you do it after the dinner, then you're not going to enjoy the dinner because you know what's to come after. You know that you're going to have to eat the frog and you're not going to enjoy it. But if you actually eat the frog before you went to dinner, then you can eat the frog and it's very uncomfortable, obviously. But when you're done with that, you can go have dinner. So you can kind of rinse it down, you can forget it. So you can both rinse it down and you can forget it and you can just enjoy the dinner. So overall, it's much better to just do the hard things before the easy things. And we can apply that to game dev. So just do the most important things early and then the less important things after that. Also, an interesting concept you might have heard of is the maker versus manager. So there's two different people in working. It's a maker, which is us, and there are managers. And the makers, they need long and uninterrupted blocks of working, like deep work, whilst the managers, they switch up the task by the hour, where they have like meetings in between and they have all these different things that they have to do. Whilst the maker, they need to be creative and they need just long, like we as makers, a meeting in the middle of our day would just destroy our schedule. But for the managers, that is their schedule basically. Like, their job is just having these meetings and scattering their focus to tons of different things because they need to manage so many things. But us as makers, we should minimize that as much as we can. Like, let's say you had a meeting in the middle of when you usually go to work. Like, that would just destroy your focus because you knew you had the meeting, and after the meeting, like a lot of us, we have to recover from the meeting. And that kind of takes some time because because you go from working and then the meeting and then you go to working again. So you kind of get from work mode to meeting mode to work mode again. Like that kind of takes some time and it just destroys your focus. And as makers, we need long uninterrupted hours of working on important tasks. And we can do the less important tasks later in the day, for example. And your important task is basically going to be your core systems. It's things that if you ask yourself, will this move my project forward significantly if I finish? The answer should be yes, then it's a important task. But the less important tasks that we shouldn't focus on, especially in the mornings, are polishing, tweaking, and playtesting. Those are things that doesn't really require focus. Like you can polish your UI with maybe 10% of your brain. Like it doesn't take that much. Also, if you want to learn more stuff just like this, click the first link in the description. Now, how to actually stick to it. Now, I'm going to tell you the practical steps about how to actually implement it and how to actually get it done. Not just the theory and just to give you dopamine, I'm actually trying to help you here. So, to actually stick to it, you need to change your identity. So, both you and others need to think of yourself like someone that actually wakes up early and does the hard work in the mornings. That's how you actually stick to it. And I have a few like very specific things that you can do to make changing your identity easier. And the first one and the best one I can come up with is to tell others, which just builds pressure. So for example, tell the other people in your household or people that are close to you and look up to you that you are going to wake up at the specific time that you set for yourself. So for example, if you're going to wake up at 6 AM to work before you go to school or go to work, then just tell that to your mom or your girlfriend or just whoever are in your home or close to you. Because if you don't do it, then you're just gonna feel like humiliated. And it's going to be like very hard for you to not do it. Because it's social pressure. And that's the most powerful thing you can do to actually stick to this. And I recommend you just do this in the beginning when you are just starting to wake up early. And after a while, you know, obviously it becomes a routine so that it doesn't have that much friction. It becomes just much easier to stick to. These things are specifically just for like changing your routine. So right now, if you wake up at 7 AM and you just have time to do your morning routine and go to work, then the things I'm saying now is just going to help you to kind of switch from waking up 7 AM to waking up 5 AM and working on game day before you go to work. So we have the tell others, which is social pressure. But if you actually do it and you care about getting results, then you are definitely going to make the process much easier. And the second one is to doom your evenings. And that means to just make them as boring as humanly possible. So you do that by, for example, removing your phone, not playing any games, just restricting the things that you're allowed to do in the evenings. So just make the evenings as boring as humanly possible and turn off the lights. Maybe you just restrict yourself to reading a book. That's the only thing you're allowed to do. Then going to sleep early isn't going to feel that hard, because being awake is going to be boring either way. And on the opposite end, number 3, you should make waking up early as easy as possible. So that means just setting up everything the night before, so that when you wake up, everything is laid out for you. There's no friction to waking up. You can just wake up, put on the clothes that you prepared the day before. You have like your water on your desk, ready and filled up. Maybe you have put the coffee in the coffee machine already, so you just click the button and it's done. And maybe your PC already has the program open and it's like in sleep mode, so you can just click the keyboard and your game engine is already open. So you can basically just start working within like 2 minutes. And the most important thing obviously is to go to sleep early. Because when you go to sleep early, you had enough rest, so you aren't as tired in the mornings, obviously. But that's easier said than done. Like I can say go to sleep early and that wouldn't do much for you, because you wouldn't be sleepy at that time, because you wouldn't wake up as early to be sleepy at that time. So what I recommend is that you take melatonin in the first few days or weeks, which makes you sleep, and then you just do your sleep routine. like earlier. So you combine melatonin with doing your sleep routine, and then you'll likely fall asleep because the melatonin will make you sleepy. And when you do a sleep routine, that hopefully also makes you sleepy, then you're rested enough to actually wake up early at that new time. So that's a really good tip. Now that's everything I had for this video, and as I said, if you want to learn more about stuff just like this and also have direct contact with me even, then you can click the first link in the description.